Back now on this special edition of Triad Today with our 5th Congressional Debate, our final segment. We have about 5 minutes to go. Let me just go a different direction for a second. Talking about role models and mentors and people that influenced you growing up. Roger, would you start the ball on that and tell us a little bit about some of your role models and heroes when you were a little boy?
Oh, certainly my parents, because on the farm, and I've realized as an older person looking back that was one of the greatest treasures of that anyone could have. That is to say that I had the freedom of the farm and so on.
Yeah.
Had wonderful teachers in school, and I only realized in the past couple of years a lot of these were female teachers who were kept out of other high-paying jobs because of discrimination.
Right.
And so it occurred to me pretty quickly that that should end discrimination. Even Mrs. Foxx has benefited in her adult life and education that government provided at Appalachian, at UNC Greensboro, UNC Chapel
Well,
Hill.
I'll let her give her resume. I will say I do happen to know that Virginia was a janitor at her own high school to try to make money then. I'm not saying that in her favor. I'm just saying she was on the show before and told that story, and I just thought it was important that both of you came from backgrounds where you worked hard for what you had, and both of you have been educators.
Yeah.
Virginia, what about your role models and people who influenced you?
Well, first let me say that I never got any kind of government handout
Why did
for
I know
going
that was
to
coming?
school. I'm flabbergasted that Roger would say that. I worked my way through school. I never even had a loan. I worked full-time and went to school part-time to get my degree.
They were state institutions.
Well, yes, but everybody goes to state institutions, then is subsidized by the state. I'm a little curious as to that kind of attack. But
I think I'm headed for an institution myself.
Anyway, I certainly had wonderful role models growing up, too. My father had only a 9th grade education, my mother only a 6th grade education. But my father was a voracious reader, and my mother was extremely bright.
And both of you came up, the hard way. And I have to think, why are you at such loggerheads? I mean, you came up with the same values. What's going on, Roger?
Because we look at people differently, and I believe in the promise of America. I believe in opportunity, that sort of thing. And it's not when I've gotten the advantage of it that I close the gate on everybody else.
That sounds like you've just thrown down the gauntlet. Virginia, you want to say anything before we move on?
Well, the Lord has blessed me immensely. He's blessed most of us more than we deserve. And I've had lots of opportunities. And every time that I've had an opportunity to work, it's been in a progressively more important position or more responsible position. And I've taken those positions when they've come available.
All right,
but I've always tried to do the best I could do. But I believe in helping people. That's all I've done all my life is help people.
All right,
I'm a flabbergasted with that kind of comment.
Roger, I want to give each of you about 45 seconds. This is the only time I'm really going to be strict on time because we're running out. About 45 seconds to each of you just to close out.
I think looking back, and Mrs. Foxx needs to know this, that her vote against the victims of Katrina did not represent the values of our people in northwestern North Carolina. I think you were advised wrongly on that. I went down there as a volunteer. There were men and women of all political parties and ages and backgrounds, religions, that were there to help neighbors in need.
Are you saying that she didn't want to help them? Because as I recall, I'm just doing a fact check here.
Well,
as I recall, she said there would be.
Well,
she said, well, let me finish. She said there wouldn't be accountability and there would be fraud, and it turned out that she was right. Now,
well, to a point, but she supports Halliburton's no-bid contract in Iraq, and the General Accounting Office says $30 billion is unaccounted for.
All right, since I spoke about
Virginia there.
Since I spoke about 10 seconds on your behalf, give me about 20 seconds on your close.
Well, again, let me correct something that Roger said. I voted for several pieces of funding for Katrina. What I said was I didn't think that we should do knee-jerk reaction and spend $52 billion at one time without some plan for it, and that was very important. But what I want to say is we're the choice here. between the most liberal person I've ever seen running for this position and a conservative person who represents the values of this district.
I want to thank both of you for doing this. I wish we had more time. And to Roger and Virginia, thanks. I know you're at loggerheads on some of these issues, but I appreciate the fact that we have two choices. And
people have a choice
they do.
for a change, don't they?
And now, before we close, I want to make a few personal remarks in this commentary. This debate was much covered and much maligned by the Winston-Salem Journal, who had engaged in a feud with Congresswoman Foxx over the past several months. Now, the Journal accused Virginia of hiding from the public just because she refused to talk to them after they had attacked her on numerous occasions. But then in this week's